Yoda was ashamed. After failing to defeat Darth Sidious in their duel on the Senate floor, the Jedi Grandmaster made a pledge to himself. On the swamp-filled floor of Dagobah, he vowed to never again wield a lightsaber. This was his penance, his atonement for his foolish belief that if all else failed, at least he would be able to stop the Sith with his own mighty faith in the Force. But his power simply wasn't enough. And now, without a lightsaber, and promising never to pick up another hallowed blade again, Yoda turned to a far more primitive weapon, a bow and arrow. Why did Yoda choose a bow and arrow? And what made this weapon so special? This is today's underrated moment. It was always hard to get a restful night's sleep on Dagobah. While most humanoids would struggle with the dense fog that added an oppressive humidity to the already boiling world, Yoda wasn't bothered by it. And the frequent chirps and howls of bogwigs and dragon snakes were actually soothing to the ancient Jedi Master's slowly deteriorating sense of hearing. No, Yoda couldn't sleep because of his nightmares. Deep within the swamps, the warm orange glow of his fireplace shone like a warm beacon, urging any unfortunate soul to seek refuge at his home. With his eyes closed and leaning against a rough brown pillow, Yoda was trying to do something that had eluded him for months: get some sleep. Just as he felt the dark curtains of unconsciousness fall over his mind, he suddenly started to twitch and shiver. And with a final pained grimace, Yoda stirred awake. It was the same terrible dream that had haunted him since Sidious defeated him, a dream of the Sith ruling over the galaxy with their cruel strength fully unleashed. Resigning himself to another sleepless night, Yoda limped towards his tiny kitchen and looked inside of the cabinet. Even sad, desolate old men feel hunger, and Yoda was no different. As his three-fingered hand rummaged through bowls filled with leafy greens and other vegetables, Yoda realized that he needed more sustenance. He needed meat.
"Into the jungle I will go,"
he thought. Grabbing his gnarly walking stick and slinging a leather bag over his shoulder, Yoda slowly began the arduous walk to the hunting grounds on the other side of the mountain. Passing by giant, fog-obscured trees and the tangled knot of dragon snakes scurrying into the upper canopy, Yoda seemed to move a bit slower than usual. Even for a 900-year-old being, there was more to the Jedi's trudging pace than age and the grinding away of his joints from years of battle. Yoda was exhausted, both mentally and physically. His order, his students, and his friends, all of them were gone. And it took every ounce of his being to ignore the question that haunted the fringes of his mind.
"Why should I even stay alive?"
As Yoda ascended a final ledge, he reached a fertile grove where a pack of orange-spotted quadrupeds ran free. The biologists of the Republic had yet to categorize these creatures, but Yoda had come to know them during his time on the planet. In any other situation, he might have used his own love of small creatures to build an animal bond with them. But with no civilization on Dagobah, and desperate for meat, Yoda was forced to hunt them. He didn't enjoy the prospect, but he knew, deep down, that the children of Anakin Skywalker would one day bring balance to the Force, and Yoda would help serve them any way he could. For that to come to pass, Yoda needed to stay healthy, which meant he needed to eat meat like any other member of his species would. As he poured his bag onto a small ledge, an odd assembly of scraps plopped out. To any passerby, it would look like nothing more than garbage thrown into a sanitation droid's receptacle, but these few items were all Yoda had. Notably, Yoda's famed green lightsaber was missing. He had lost it while fighting Sidious. And later, in a demonstration before Coruscant citizens, Mos Amida destroyed Yoda's lightsaber as he spread the lie of the Jedi's attack on Emperor Palpatine and their betrayal of the Republic. But creating a lightsaber for a Jedi as wise as Master Yoda would be an easy enough feat. But here again, we find something surprising about the ancient being. For his failure to defeat Darth Sidious, Yoda deliberately refused to construct a replacement for his original green blade. Using it in order to hunt for food would be shameful enough, but even if it were to serve his Jedi training, the Master vowed to never again allow himself to swing an energy sword of any kind. As he thought of his ancient weapon, now charred to ash in an explosion of Mos Amida's making, Yoda quickly assembled something with the parts from his bag. When the final screws were tightened and a long slender string was tied in place, Yoda revealed his new weapon, a bow and arrow. Without enough metal to create a proper arrowhead, Yoda fastened a rudimentary wooden arrow onto the bow and launched it at one of the creatures that was nearest. Yoda could have simply used the Force to send the projectile flying through the air, but perhaps even that was beneath Yoda's concept of a proper Jedi. His bow and arrow, which was already showing signs of deterioration, would have to be enough for his hunts, and Yoda hoped, as his time on this world was quickly coming to an end, that he would rarely have to use it. This hunting tool was hardly the making of the Jedi Order. Instead, this was simply something Yoda fashioned in order to survive the harsh world of Dagobah. The need to survive, and the primitive tools it required, wasn't something that Yoda suffered alone in. Halfway around the galaxy on the sand-swept dunes of Tatooine, Obi-Wan Kenobi learned the harsh truth of enduring exile in the desert. There, he discovered the secret of the black melon, sand snake stew, and even how to barter with Jawa.